So now, please welcome the official, non-official, non-sponsor of the Savannah Bananas, but a big fan. Please welcome John Fletcher.
Well, thank you, my friend Jesse Cole, owner of the Savannah Bananas, and welcome to 15 on Fridays with Fletch. We've got quite a showman for today's guest. He displays large format video boards at major sporting events, festivals, and inaugurations. He even created and suspended the world's largest portable board at a NASCAR racetrack in Bristol, Tennessee. He's a TCU Horned Frog. He's a member of my fraternity, Lambda Chi Alpha, but he's several years younger. He's got 3 years as an entrepreneur, a big-time entrepreneur. He's largely responsible for creating the portable daylight large screen industry, and he founded GoVision as a full-service provider in 2002. Sold out in 2016 and bought the company back 2 years ago. He's a big-time player in sports. He's the first winner of the Innovation Impact Award from the NFL in 2011. So please welcome the man behind GoVision, those giant video boards, Chris Curtis. Howdy, Chris.
Hi, John. How are you today?
Wonderful. Well, you're kind of busy today. You've got the Ryder Cup this weekend. Tell us about it.
Well, it's a big week. There's no doubt about it. We are doing the Ryder Cup. We've done PGA of America's work since the 2010 PGA Championship. So I guess this is our 16th year working with them, and this is our fourth Ryder Cup in that time. The interesting thing here is it's just gotten bigger and better every time. And the really interesting thing with this one is I believe it's the largest amount of portable LED video screen on a single site in North America history. We have a huge amount of gear out there. We have 27 screens. We're actually supporting the tour screens too, which there's 10 more. So we're running a production on 37 screens. It's an amazing amount of gear. We've had crew up here since the 1st of September, about 12 semi-loads of gear, and all good today.
Oh, that's great. Well, you're an entrepreneur's entrepreneur, Chris. So tell us how you entered this large format video board market.
Well, long story, I'll try to keep it short, but late 80s, early 90s, went to work for a friend who was doing what you'd call mobile billboards at the time. We weren't doing great with that, but we had these very unique trucks, and we started using them as what you would call experiential marketing today. So we put a Pepsi ad on the side, pull up in front of the grocery store, and sample Diet Pepsi. And from that, we got really interested. How do you get video board? How do you get daylight video? How do you get outside? And at the time, Sony had just came into the market with the Sony Jumbotron. And so we actually did a deal with Sony to build the first portable Jumbotron in the United States in 1990. And we did that, and it just took off. Events came to us. No stadiums had screens. The last time the Dallas Cowboys played in the Super Bowl, I built a temporary screen in the stadium. So used to say that to say we were in a new business, but that seems just unbelievable to, especially my kids, right? Like the stadiums didn't have video screens, music didn't have video screens. So that's where we got our start, took off. We did a lot of touring music in the 90s and formed a company called Screenworks. Actually had an opportunity, sold it in 98, and then rejoined the industry in 02 when we started GoVision.
So tell us what you saw that nobody else saw at the time. What was your aha moment?
Well, I think that the early 90s, when we got that, we did it. Our big break came. The band Genesis wanted to tour with the video in the back of the stage. They were the first ones that wanted to do that. Sony came to us and asked, how do you make this thing portable, which we did for them. And you could just see kind of with the music curve that there was going to be big opportunities there. At the same time, it was just starting to come into stadiums, and you could see the same thing there. Then fast forward to the turn of the century, if you would, it changed completely because the technology changed from the Jumbotron to the LED video screen. And when they initially came out, right at the turn of the century, they were about a quarter of the price, way less power consumptive, way lighter, and turned on full time. They'd last about 10 years, where a Jumbotron would last about 2 years. So that you saw the proliferation of a Times Square in Las Vegas, and the prices have continued to come down. So you're not even a good high school program now if you don't have a screen in your stadium. So kind of solve that. If you're kind of a believer in watching the movies predict the future, you started seeing a lot of movies where the buildings were all covered with with video screens, and you're starting to see that. I mean, you go down Dallas and see it now, right? There's screens all up on the building. So I just saw that that there always was going to be an opening here, I guess, and that it was going to grow and grow fast.
Well, at TCU, they used the phrase "cherchez le créneau," look for the niche. So tell us about, was there one or two TCU professors that gave you insights that you applied into your success?
I think, and not just professors. I worked in the development office. I drew a lot from Dr. Hartman and Dr. Tucker, the chancellor, just in the leadership and kind of seeing there, from a scholarship side of the thing. Doug Newsom, I was a journalism ad PR major, and of course she was really hard on the journalism majors, and so I learned there, and then the advertising side from Dr. Raskoff, and two legends of the business. So as with all college kids, you don't realize who you're dealing with, what you're learning, right? But they were great professors and learned a lot.
Well, before people get confused, Doug Newsom was a woman. So
correct.
You're not
correct.
misstating there. She was one of my favorite professors as well. So tell us, what was your special gift or skill that set you apart in your journey?
Oh, wow. I think kind of, and this is kind of back to TCU when they started their entrepreneur school. I used to have a great debate with the director of that you can't teach entrepreneurism. And I think probably, probably my number one is just people. I have a good feel for people, up above, down below, wherever. And so the ability to build a team, to find clients that became friends, that's a big part of it. Curiosity, and watching, okay, what does this mean if they do this? This does that, I think is probably. And then the third prong of that is risk. you understand risk, and I've been around people, and that's always my debate with the entrepreneur people. You can't teach guts and risk and taking the chances and taking the calculated chances and how you deal with adversity. It's a huge part of being an entrepreneur for sure. And so I think it's kind of all those things. It's not just one, but it's kind of all those things.
Well, now, of course, one of the folks that takes risk and opportunity is Jerry Jones, and you were partners with him in a joint venture. What was that like?
Well, pretty interesting. Obviously, they have a lot on their plate, and we did the screens that are out on the plaza at AT&T Stadium under a joint venture. We designed what was there and purchased, and then they would put them in there during the season. We'd take them out in the off season and share revenue back with them. It was a tough deal to get done, and only because really how busy they were. Once you're kind of in with Jerry, you're in, like in a way. But hard to get decisions because of how busy they were. So challenge to get to the deal. But once we got the deal done, I admire him greatly as a business guy. There's a story here that is really interesting in that we were really up against a time frame, like he hadn't ordered, like he hadn't put the deal together. We've been talking about it for 2 years. We'd given it a deadline for it to happen by opening day, missed the deadline, but we got started. And we started digging in the plazas, and he called and said, "Chris, is this where those screens are going?" I'm going, "Yeah, Jerry, that we have agreed. We've all been out here, all the family. One time I had 4 generations of them out there, his mom and their kids and grandkids, looking at where these were going to be placed and stuff." And he goes, "Well, can you come out here?" So I went out there, and he said, "Look, if we put them here, there's still 1,500 fans or whatever beyond here, between here and the door. So we got to capture those." So we completely reconfigured. And with that, we missed like the concert, but opening football season, the opening day, the Today Show was there in the morning, and we literally swept up stuff as they were putting their set down in the morning. And that day, towards the end of the morning, ran into him. I said, "Hey, Jerry, what do you think? I think it looks great." "Oh, they look great. They look great. But could you raise them a foot?" And I'm like, "Where in the world did this come from?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I noticed the other day that from inside, if we raised them a foot, 10,000 more people from inside could see these screens." And there's a reason. I won't go into the reason that was really important to him, but the fact that he just saw that in the midst of opening his Taj Mahal, and had somebody go out and figure out what the real number was and what that meant, how high it had to go to do that. It was, there's a whole lot of detail in people like that you don't expect.
Wow, that's amazing. You've provided video boards for everything from presidential inaugurations to Masters golf, this weekend's Ryder's Cup, the Final Four in the Super Bowl. Which one stands out the most?
Well, so again, a really hard question because I got to look back at it. There's all kinds of stuff, right? So, my first Rolling Stones tour, backstage Las Vegas, and there's celebrities everywhere, and I'm kind of like, this is unbelievable that I'm out here touring with the Rolling Stones. And then other little things that I forget over time, like we did a tribute to John Wooden at UCLA. That was cool. We did the final show of Cheers in Boston, kind of stuff like that. But stand out, and a huge sports fan. So the first time to be a chance to be a part of the Super Bowl was huge. We've been a part of the Final Four now for 17, 18 years, something like that. To get to do that and to see that kick off and our stuff out there is huge. One day I was sitting home, the young people won't relate to this, but there were 3 networks, right? And I'm watching, and all 3 networks on a Saturday afternoon were at events that we were doing. I thought that's pretty cool. But overall, I would say 2 things. I think the presidential inaugurations are tremendous. Don't care what side you stand on. They've gotten a little bit ruined by the rhetoric, but the pomp and circumstance of that and the peaceful transition of power is really, it's a spiritual experience, if you would. And I tell everybody that on the Obama inauguration, we actually did Obama's send-off party in Chicago that morning, the actual inauguration, and Bush's arrival home in Midland that night. So we had the whole full circle thing, and I thought that was kind of cool too. So that, and then in the sports world, the one I'm at right now, the Ryder Cup, is just, it's special. The international, the competition, just the spirit of the thing is so cool. Like, just a really cool event. So that wasn't fair. You asked for one, but
That's okay.
It's hard to name one.
So you've got to have at least one crazy story from an event. Tell us about it.
Oh God, that's unfair too. There's a bunch of those, I think.
Well, give me a couple.
Oh yeah, let me think. The music thing happens. This is a personal thing, and my wife's going to listen and get mad. But the Rolling Stones show, I'm sitting on the sound mix, and I'm sitting next to Reggie Sanborn on the sound mix. And Heather Locklear's bouncing on his knee, and Heather was my it girl, so that was kind of crazy. But we deal with a ton of stuff, weather, lightning. Again, the inauguration, our first inauguration, we had been there all week. It had been troublesome. It was actually the first one after 9/11, so the security thing was a mess. And anyway, it had been a long week, and we're out there the night before. We've been to dinner. I'm like, I'm just going to walk back past the Capitol and kind of check on the guys, and went in there, and they were having trouble with the screen. And so went in, talked to them, ended up having to run interference because they were having a clearing of the whole place. Like, everybody had to be out at 1 or whatever. And so I run an interference with the troops and the Capitol Police to stay so we could get this thing going, which we did get it going. During that time, we were right next to the stage. I actually walked up and just stood at the podium. Total clear, 20 degrees, crystal clear night. It had snowed, just gorgeous. I'm just standing there going, this is incredible. And by the time we wake up the next morning, I think there were 20 of 23 channels in our hotel room were focused right on that point that I just had stood. Wow. And to finish that, what we figured out with the screen is the only thing we could do is keep pushing one button. So one guy sat in the trailer and pushed a button the entire show day for that to stay on. But there's a lot of that kind of stuff in there.
So tell me what you'd like to share with an aspiring entrepreneur.
Well, I think, it's not for everybody. It's not for the weak, certainly not for the weak, because you have everybody says highest highs, lowest of lows. And it is when you get to experience something like walking out here at the Ryder Cup and see our stuff everywhere and see our crew that's out here and what they put into it, and the people back in our offices in Texas and how much they care about it. That's special. So you get the high. But there's the nights that you're wondering if you're going to make payroll. There's the nights that something's not working. In our business, in our particular business, I say we have a small business in a really high profile niche. And when we're doing an event, it's, you got weather, you got people, you got technology, you got a lot of things that can go wrong. And they don't hold. They don't say, okay, we're going to stop the presidential inauguration until GoVision can get their crap together, right? So it's very intense. And if you can't stand up to that, that's probably where you don't belong, for sure.
Well, Chris, thank you so much. And thank you for watching and listening to 15 on Fridays with Fletch, with this week's guest, the amazing entrepreneur, Chris Curtis from GoVision. Join us again next week for another edition of 15 on Fridays with Fletch. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, John. Enjoyed it, and go USA.